Before we even begin, I just want to share two stories that I have about this finding your way. It's been quite disruptive for everyone in commuting, and I'm counting my blessings to be able to walk to work. But my sister, her home she's in Agura, and her home was up to the edge, up to this edge, and yes, so frightening. And now they're cleared out, and they're well. They've been staying at my folks, but when the fire reached the edge, it was the most disconcerting because it was potentially disastrous as far as losing everything, and so the stress and the trauma is so deep there. But then I want to share another story of someone. I was at Caruso just preparing for our David Suissa event, which was so powerful, so interesting. So I was with Rick and a woman, her name's Janelle. She lives in Malibu. I didn't know her, but she's a congregant. And she was talking with Rick about something. And Rick said, how are you? She said, and it's perfectly sanguine, I lost my home. My home burned down. But what was so striking was almost a Zen-like calm, and I don't think it was denial. I don't think she said, I lost a lot of stuff. My children are well. I'm not unwell. There's a lot to sort out. But it was this, I've been feeling incredibly displaced, and I haven't lost anything. And yet people who actually lost everything have this incredible sense of presence. And I'm turning to Jacob here because I think this story is very much one of displacement and security. And I found that to be a tremendous irony, that the closer people are to trauma, it's as if when you see someone facing illness and they're in the illness, sometimes they have this incredible power and ability to be almost prophetic in their calm and blessing. But when you're out in the periphery of that, how challenging and difficult it is because you're afraid either you're next or that there's something that could be chasing after you. And this is where I see Jacob in this moment. So we're in chapter 28 and verse 10. And this feeling of fleeing and this almost, don't want to get political here, but this almost refugee status. Let's just take a moment. We're in chapter 28, verse 10, or page 159 for those that paginate. Where are we leaving here? What just happened? And you're in the triennial, so you read the very end of this last parsha. What was the very end of this story right before this? Anybody? What is the precipitation of him leaving Beersheba? There you go. This is the Esau and Jacob prayer. And Rebecca is very scared for her son. She's kind of manipulated this switched blessing and says, go be with my brother up in Haran. Now this isn't like Palisades, just go down the street to Santa Monica. Haran is in Turkey or Mesopotamia. And Beersheba, if we know, right, in the desert, we are far from the south. So it is a literal geographic journey. But the metaphor of Beersheba. So just think about Beersheba. What is Be'er? A well. So it's a well. And Sheva. This is where the 7 wells. So these really places of stability, places of gathering. And Jacob is in the midst of these two places. And it's so important in the Hebrew that it says, Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran in the English. Vayetzei Yaakov mi Beersheba vayelech Harana. So I just want to be clear here. Jacob was leaving security. Jacob was leaving stability. He had been blessed by his father. He was afraid, and Rebecca was afraid. They fled. This is actually the story, the mice I just heard from somebody about Topanga. Leave the house, not leave the house. Will you be okay? Will you not be okay? And Jacob is really traumatized by both the He's traumatized by the blessing. He's traumatized by the fact that his father, Yitzchak, gave him this empowerment to say, you will be a blessing to everyone. Does he feel that blessing?
No.
He's actually petrified from it. And he flees Harana. And what does Harana mean? Not for Haran. Harana means towards. It's a locative. He's just going towards. And I remember this when I was fleeing earthquake. I just tried to drive as far away from the epicenter as possible with my kids. Have you ever felt that? It's just, you're in literally almost a caravan of fleeing. And this is the insecure space that he's in. Very locative, very moving. And then we have the next line. Now, again, God forbidding, English get in the way of Torah. Coming upon a hard paren. Do you see where I am here? First line. Page 159, chapter 28, verse 10. Verse 11 now. Coming upon a certain place. Vayifga bamakom. 2 words in Hebrew, substituted by 7 words here in English, which tells you we're missing something. Do you want me? Do you need a Torah? No, I can take a Torah. I love these things travel, and Torah is portable, and we're talking about portable Torah.
Thank you.
And it's a great thing.
Thank you so much.
Of course, and welcome everyone. So, what is bamakom? Let's talk about makom for a second. Mark, what is a makom as a metaphor? Anyone? Okay, it's a place.
Well, sometimes it's used for God, isn't it?
Okay. Have you ever heard after someone has passed, Hamakom yinachem etchem, may this space comfort you? Has anybody heard that phrase? Hamakom is actually a name for God. And it's in particular a name for God when it's not so easy to use God's name. He's not feeling God's presence. But Vayifga b'makom means he was struck, coming upon a certain place. It's almost too directive. He's not finding a spot. He was struck. Now, has anybody, and I'm just going to open this up, has anybody almost been petrified to the extent that they cannot move and they need to figure out where they're at? I'll give you a story. Oh, yes? Okay, tell me. Do you want to give some context to? No. Okay. But I'll give you my cousin. My cousin, she was having a panic attack, okay? She needed to stop in the middle. She pulls off on the side of the road. She's breathing. She was struck by this place. So what is the implication here in the first 2 lines? He's fleeing. He has no idea. Of course, he's going to Laban, his mother's brother's place, but he's not really going there. He's just running away. And what does makom do? What does God, really, the place do? Strikes him. You've got pigua is actually in Hebrew an attack. Okay, so I just want to say, he had a panic attack. He had a panic attack. He's running. You're so intense. You're like, go, stop. All right, so this is an aside. My cousin, she had a panic attack. She gets to the side of the road. She's like, I got to get to the hospital. She's really driving. I just got to get to the hospital. She gets to the hospital. It says $14 parking for the first 15 minutes. She says, I'm not crazy. I'm just a little. She's like, I feel much better. I love that story. God bless her. Yeah.
I know you're getting there, and we'll get there, but part of, not the end of this story, but kind of, for me, the exclamation point at the end is when Jacob is going to wake up and says, God was in this hamakom, and I didn't know it. So there's that other connection we'll get to. It's not just any place.
Or is it? See,
maybe it is everywhere.
And this is the blessing. So that is really this question. Where are we running from? Where are we going to? I know a lot of people who stayed in their place because they felt this was their place they needed to be. My brother-in-law ran back to his house and helped put out embers of neighbors because he needed to be in that place. But what God is telling us directly is, don't spin out. You can travel, you can move, you can have direction, but what you can't do is simply, just be spinning. Not with a direction, which was, I was watching the midterm elections last week, or not watching, but just following, and the recounts and all of this spinning. What does that mean? 5%, 2.5%? Is it mechanical or manual? Nathan says, what are you going to do about that, my son? What are you going to do, whether it is or it isn't? So what good is that if you can't change that matter? What good? What a wise child.
I have friends in Malibu who lost everything, and they sent out an email to all their friends saying, we look at this as a new beginning. We're starting over. And they didn't spin out. They were very calm.
It's tremendous, the spiritual power, and I would say the same thing for grief, not just homes, but grief, people that are directly in grief, and you see their I don't know the other word, but sanguine.
And they go through the stages of grief with this kind of loss that you do with the loss of a life.
Very much.
First anger, and then I've forgotten all the stages, and then bargaining, and denial, right? But
yeah, I have we could teach a whole class on Kubler-Ross and how she went back and forth at the end of her life. Very challenging, this complication, because what's the difference between acceptance and denial? Who knows? Because you could just go on another round. And I would say that Jacob goes back and forth. I know, we're 2 lines in, it's already quartered done. So he lied down. Kiva Hashemesh, because the sun had left. And Vayikach ma'avnei makom, and he took the stones of the place. Vayasem mereshotav vayishkav b'makom hahu. Now, it says that taking one of the stones, he made his head rest as he lay down in that place. There are debates, rabbinic debates. What is he doing with this series of stones? Does anybody know architecture? What was before the Egyptian pyramids?
what was before?
Right before the pyramids were these, this is called mastaba on mastaba. They're ziggurats that are these collections of platform on platform on platform. Or, as you're walking or hiking in Topanga, have you ever seen that series of, this is a ritual moment. It doesn't make any sense he's making a pillow out of stones. For me.
Aren't there other places where altars are made out of stones?
We're going to get there. Matseva, yes.
Why wouldn't it be that he just took it for his bill? Because, I mean, when I was in Papua New Guinea, they took a stone, and that's how they...
Well, if you see the ritual, yes, and you can see in Mesopotamia, altars and headrests are like that.
The Chinese still do that.
So it's very possible, pillow, but Jacob's pillow, it's ironic. And it's also very powerful that this is, in some ways, a dream altar. I mean, if you think about this, because he's setting up an intentional space to create a dream altar. And this is how I see. So we always talk about the ladder, and I think of the ladder. I don't know. I don't think that's what it is. He's created a portal, divine platform. This is what we were talking about. Mesopotamia. He's going towards Mesopotamia, Babel, right? Bab-el is the gate of God, and this was the way that you create this portal.
He's also placing himself on an altar, much like his father was placed on an altar.
Oh, that's very powerful. That's very powerful. And so, too, he is not being sacrificed, but he is really up on the...
But he's opening himself up to whatever might come down upon him.
Yeah. And so he says, Vaishkav b'makom hahu. And he lay down in that very place. It's being very specific that he has set up this kind of ritual. Okay, altar pillow. But when I think pillow, I think comfy cozy. I'm like, is it down or is it, But no, he's doing a very particular thing here and creating his own kind of new rite that is not sacrifice. Or just think about the last blessing that he just got, which was this father to son quicto change, like the reversal. So maybe it's this personal empowerment in the midst of his own spinning. So he was really struck in this place. Vayachalom. And I just take the Hebrew word here, he dreamed. Do you see It's a beautiful word, just orthography, the shape of it. So I want you to look 4 lines down. It doesn't matter if you read Hebrew or not, okay? 4 lines down, yes? Do you see the last word in the sentence? It's the first word. Okay, 12. Just that first word. Now just, yes. So, okay, the first one is the Vav. That's just the line. The second one is the Yud. But look at Halom. What do you see in the orthography, in the shape of the Chet? The last word, 4th line. What is Halom? You see a home. I see 2 windows, and the Lamed is this ascension. Halom Halamti. And now for me, it is the first is an open Chet. Okay, so maybe I'm getting a little Kabbalistic here, but in the orthography itself, Halom is this window of opportunity. Then there's the Lamed, which La is a locative, which in Hebrew literally is 2. The Het, yeah, there's, right, an opening, there's an ascension, and then there's this Mem, this sealed concrete window that returns us back.
There are 2 dots around the lump.
Vayachalom. Well, that's the trope. Vayachalom.
Yeah, that's the trope.
But isn't that a dream? It's this mystery, and the Talmud says every dream that is uninterpreted, I love this, is like a letter that isn't read. Every dream uninterpreted is a letter unread. I mean, think about the stacks of letters you have, let alone remembering your dreams. And I'll take a 5-second. Please keep a journal by your bed, because you forget them so quickly and they just disappear. If you have your journal, like you have your book by your bed and you have your glass of water, if you keep that journal and you just start jotting down, they become clearer and patterns emerge, and you have your entire own Yaakov experience. Yeah.
If you're focusing on the orthography, you also have, even though it's a trope, you can also have, since it's a ladder, you've got dots on either side, so you've got one of them, it's like an angel going up, and there's an angel going down.
And then again, so then vihine, the next word, and behold, sulam, a ladder, look at the sulam, very similar. As halom, sulam, they sound similar, so that the ladder and the dream is this ascension and descension. Now, I don't see ladder, I actually see ziggurat, I see this platform of ascension. So that halom and sulam are very much the same. That the dream is a ladder to God. Now, I'm not getting Freudian here. I'm just saying that the dream is a ladder to God.
You can be Jungian.
Well,
and Jung would agree with you about the dreams. It's the greatest form of analysis there is.
Yes.
Self-analysis.
Yes.
Listening to what your brain is doing.
Vehine, yeah. And the mystery is in the interpretation. That's why this later Yaakov and his son Joseph, why that is such an powerful section.
And the visual form of the word.
Yes.
There's also an art form that Cecile and I just studied last week in a group called concrete poetry, where poetry is written in the shape of the subject.
Oh no, I absolutely love it.
In the shape of the subject that you're writing about.
Oh, calligrams and
it's really amazing.
Yeah.
The Song of the Sea in the Torah.
Well, it looks like the oceans,
yes,
or the 2 columns.
Like
yeah.
It looks like bricks.
There's so many, and I would just recommend Jewish micrography. It's called. It is the Hebrew characters in the shapes of the very things that they're doing, and it is. There's arguments that is a exclusively Jewish art. There is some calligrams in Arabic, but micrography to do that. Have you ever seen this? The really small letters that when you come back and you have one, and you see the picture, but it's actually all writing.
Look at our Kodesh.
Oh, no question.
In the sanctuary too, we formed those letters to serve a purpose, but they're Hebrew letters all over the ark.
So now let us continue here. We're verse 12. We've gotten 2 verses in.
What about that word musab?
So, mutzav is this, nitzav is stand upright. It is a pillar, matzeva, what Bert alluded to as an altar. It is a pillar, it is an altar, and it means to stand, but to stand upright. This is a direct opposite of him spinning out. He was struck, and he had to stand there.
Like a mast of a ship.
And when someone is having a panic attack, what is the first thing that you need to have them do? Stand and breathe.
This is the Sulam that's standing now. Yeah.
Just wait.
He's flat.
Just wait. Just wait. He's dreaming.
Right. He's dreaming. He's.
But this
lying flat.
matzeva is this standing upright. Mutzav arza. It's firmly planted in the ground. V'rosho magia mashamayma. How do they say? With its top reaching to heaven. That is not true. It's just not true. He says in the first line, verse 10, Vayelech harana, towards Haran, which means he's not there. He's just going that way. So technically, when it says Hashamayma, towards heaven, it's just going up. It doesn't say that it reaches, the way I read the English is, its top reaches to heaven, which is I always thought, because the next line is these angels are coming up and down heaven. But I don't read it that way. I just see it as this upward movement of this ziggurat pillow. I know these are a lot of new terms. Vehine, and behold, melachei Elohim olim v'yordim bo. And the workings, angels of God going up and down. I could teach a whole other, I thought about it, teaching class on angels and wings and all of that, cherubim versus cherubs, and I don't want to talk about it. Melachei sharet, malach, what is melacha? Work. And the work of God is going up and down. DreamWorks. I can't, okay, now just disclaimer, you don't know me so well. I mean, we're getting to know each other. I don't believe in angels. I think it deprives my agency of my own gifts. We are, and I could call you an angel, but it's very much like, the angel investor. Like he just kind of drops and then drops out. But Melachei Elohim, our works of God are going up and down on it. It's trying to explain dream mechanics. You're intentional, you set up that space, and it's so true, by the way, in dream mechanics, that it's very important. There's a new book coming out on dreams. Did you Sunday review? She wrote a beautiful piece on how important dreams are and to take them seriously. You have to set up yourself for healthy dreaming, in a sense. I mean, this is actually one of the reasons I think it's sad when people with so much medications and alcohol to pass out, you miss the most valuable part of your sleep, not only just health-wise, but all of the beautiful dreams that are less crystal. It's harder to remember when you're famished. You sleep, you get to bed, but you're missing this important. So, has anybody heard that interpretation? That's a new one. That's a Rabbi Hyman.
Is that angel interpretation?
Just the workings of God is up and down on it.
Add to that.
Okay, but no, I'm challenging this, Elena. That they're not messengers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that's the original, that's the traditional interpretation is because it's not God. Although, so these little, woohoo, here I go up and here I go down. And then there's so much midrash on this.
Add to your interpretation that they're starting on earth.
Absolutely. So what's the irony here? If they're messengers, why would it be olim v'yordimbo? Why are they going up and then down?
Well, their messages are going up and down, and I think they're angels, but they're right here.
Well, it could also be what goes up is what you want, and what comes down is what you need.
That's the metaphor. That's definitely. But if they're angels, why do they start down here?
Because it has to start with your intentionality. You can't be given your intentions. You can't be given what it is that you need to do. You need to want to do something, You may think you want to do something,
Yeah.
and what you end up getting is what you ought to be doing.
And
Perhaps.
this is the ground. It's earth. They're starting on earth.
Which is definitely part of this prayer. It's definitely setting us up for a earth-grounded, heavenly directed relationship. Meaning grounded in the now, up, and then back down. But my challenge is, instead of thinking about these winged creatures that are like whisper, whisper, these are actions. This is divine action of, and this is absolutely Kabbalistic. The energies from below are trying to reach the energies from on high.
It's also very Reconstructionist that there's a bit of the divine in everybody. Those angels are within everyone.
The magical aspect of the angels does not resonate personally with me. Dreams, the power of our own agency when I slow down enough to try to register that, is a very powerful force. V'hineh, Adonai, and behold, now I'm on, and lo. Lo. Okay, 13. You see where I am? And lo, hineh, Adonai nitzav elav. So, Adonai stood up above it. Huh?
Little anthropomorphic.
A little. Now I want to get back to the Hebrew. Do you see where I am? We're just on this turn of this page. Adonai stood up above it. Why? But why the anthropomorphism? Why is it above it? Just read it out, Bert. Because if it's above it, what does it mean that God can't be? Standing on a ladder or standing on the top of the ziggurat. But let's just be clear, in Mesopotamian theology, this is exactly the platform of the gods. They would set this altar up so that the pantheon, plural, could. But that is not the Hebrew. First of all, hineh is, and behold, it is something tangible. Adonai nitzav elav.
Says alav.
Alav. God stood alav.
On it.
On it or alav?
On him.
Okay. Now,
Wouldn't it
behold, lo. They say lo.
Yo.
be
It's the.
Absolutely. Presence. Boom. God is. And so back to this mutzav. Back to this stone. It's not a pressure, but it's open that God is both on top of this and on top of him. On top is wrong. It's not an anthropomorphism. It's just not sexual in the slightest.
Is the stood anthropomorphic?
It is.
Is that the right for the Hebrew? It says in English stood, which clearly is like a person is
Physical
standing
presence.
with two legs.
There is a physical presence, but a matzeva is a marker, marked, established. It's hard. It's not
'Cause
standing.
in English, if I would say
It's not legs.
God was right. If I would say God was above, that's different from saying God is standing.
Well, this is why I think, because of the anthropomorphism and the risk, that's why they translate it as God stood up above it. But the Hebrew is the opposite.
Maybe the stood is like you stand for something. You represent something.
But you could say also nitzav is like position, was positioned above.
And where is he? And where is this divine
On it
position?
or on him.
He is. It is. He's being struck by, or it's very simple, meaning he is having a divine dream. He is totally being inhabited by. This isn't like something's floating around. He's having theophany.
Because God's about to talk to him.
And it's not, and I just want to say clearly, just as these angels can be metaphors, this God is not a metaphor. It is absolutely crystal clear to Yaakov. Boom. I'm having this moment, this space, as Bert mentioned, we're going to hear that in a moment. And what does God say? Vayomer. Ani Adonai Elohei Avraham Avicha. I, Adonai, am the God, and now we're on chapter 28, verse 13. We turn the page, 13. top of the page. I, Adonai, am the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land, ha'aretz asher ata shochet, the land on which you are lying, I will give to you and your children. I just want to take a moment. Where is he in the middle? Where is he right now? Towards Mesopotamia. Is this the land that he was supposed to be given?
No, it's unclear where he is. He's like in a certain place, just somewhere.
So the irony right here is, you are going to make it here. And someone actually thinks, oh, Cleveland, this must be where I need to make my land. I got that dream. No, you missed the point. Yaakov misses it, and he often misses the point, and he's blessed. I will give it to you and your children. Now, vayazarcha ka'afar ha'aretz, and will be your seed like the dust of the land, of the earth, and you should spread out. Yama v'kedma tzafona v'negba. This beautiful kind of sporific diaspora. Okay? This is the difference between exile and diaspora.
But if you're going to spread out in all four directions, where you start out doesn't really matter.
Maybe, and I think that's implicit in this point, because if it truly was, this is, and we're going to learn this, because he says, this is the place, I'm giving you a stone, here you are. Mm-hmm. Like when I love you wherever you are, I love you wherever you are. We got to go back to Mateo's, that's where we propose every year, we got to go back to Mateo. No.
So where is he physically in what is now Israel?
No, he's Haran. We don't know. He's somewhere.
Do we know where Haran is? No.
On the way. Yes, we do.
Haran is in southern Turkey, just above Syria.
Southern Turkey.
So he could be in Lebanon. He could be in Syria.
He's on the way from Beersheba. Right. He is in the middle of this long journey. He's wiped out. He is totally famished. And this is just back to these beautiful people who have suffered through fires. You're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And I just this sense of presence. I pray for them every day. Just this sense of presence. Yes.
Well, I was just thinking it's this immersive quality of wherever you are. If you open up, you're there. You're protected. Because you are with. There's no separation wherever, regardless.
And so now take that the next step. It's not just directional. It's not just geographic.
No,
It's wherever you are.
It's. I'm not sure how to say it differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not geographic. It's within. It's the seed within.
He's sleeping.
Za'aracha, and this is the beautiful. It says directly from the Hebrew. Just think about the end of verse 13. The English. Give it to your seed, and your seed shall be like the seed of the earth. Let's just be clear. Etnena lezar'echa v'haya zar'acha ka'afar ha'aretz. I will give it to your seed, and your seed will be this diaspora. Wherever you go, you want to take it beyond geographic, it's unconditional.
Right.
I don't care. It's not care.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, you're going to be great, which we say to our children every day. I mean, I know I do. I'm sorry this school, it's a tough transition. Wherever you go to school, you're 14, you're going to hate it. I should put it in the positive. Wherever you go, you're going to learn something. And then what do they say back? Why couldn't I go? Do you know when I was in high school, I went to Beverly, and I wanted to go to Calabasas because the guy from Silver Spoons was in drama, and I wanted to be with the guy from Silver Spoons. So my mom's like, what, are you kidding me? You want to go out to Calabasas? Okay. We miss it. ונברכו בך כל משפחות האדמה ובזרעך. And that through you, everybody is going to have blessing. This is the same blessing. Does this remind you of the blessing of Grandpa, of Abraham? What is different about this blessing in its context? This extra bonus points of the metaphor. This one is about Zaracha Kazar Zera Haaretz. This is about the dust of the earth. Does anybody remember what the blessing for Abraham in Lech Lecha was about?
Stars. You should be numerous as the stars in the sky.
You should be as numerous as the stars in the sky. So what, I don't think that's insignificant. What is the transition from grandfather to grandson? What is this blessing rooted in?
The earth. Life here. Earth.
And what's the irony of that for Yaakov? He's wandering all over the place. He's afraid, and he's going to Laban's house.
He's the wandering Jew.
But the Jew is ultimately rooted within history, within presence, and within place.
I think we need to bring 15 into this.
Please.
Cycle.
Vehine, and behold, again, hine, lo. Does it say lo again?
No.
Ah.
But it's still hineni.
Hine, absolutely. Behold, Anochi. And remember, I. Now, this is very important. Anochi is a name for God, but Anochi is also the I, capital I. And this is what I say to people all the time. Never put the E.E. Cummings, the I, small I, is saying it in a different way. The I is so powerful, like our personal selves and that connection with this God. Hine, I am with you. I will keep you anywhere you go. Yeah? I will watch over you. Shmarticha. And wherever you go, I will bring you back. El ha'adama hazot. This is irony, Mark, so we'll finish the line. I will bring you back to this soil. Ki lo ezovcha. I will not let you go until I have done all that I've promised. Now, Mark, what do you want to say to this verse?
That's just that it goes back to Bert's question. Where is it? And you're coming back to where you are. I'm reminded of that poem. We shall not cease our explorations, and at the end of all of our exploring, we'll return to the place from where we started and know it for the first time.
I have another problem with this.
Just give a pause for a second. Yes, or before the problem, do we think that God's blessing is literally about this particular place of the bed of stone? Isn't it clear?
Because it's a dream, anyway. This is all happening in a dream. It's not happening when he's awake.
I think it's a very human condition when you receive blessing or you receive, Micah, you're going to be a great teacher. Oh, I better teach high school. No. We assign the location when it's really a position. That was a beautiful poem, Mark. I'd love to see that. That was beautiful. What is your next problem? Just how...
I will not let go of you.
Yes.
Which is saying...
I will bring you back.
No, it says, I will not let go of you as long as I have yet to do what I have promised you. I would assume then that this is saying that at some point God's going to be done with the Jewish people and then let go of them. Why? I don't know what the Hebrew says, but it says it's like I won't stop loving you until such and such happens. Well, wait a minute.
Ooh, you're
stop
feeling that
me?
condition. Odd. And
where did that come from?
Odd. Up until I have done all that I have said. Now, the irony there is he's actually said a lot. And I want to say, Jody, let's look closely here at verse 14 at the end. V'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama. That I will bless through you all the families of the earth. That is also the blessing of Abraham. And then all that you do will return to the earth. So now I just want to say, Adama is, if we put it as location, I think we're too limited because God is being very explicit. Like we are, I don't want to use the word pragmatic. This entire and dreams are right. I saw a cow in the middle of my, and this is why dreams and surrealism is so beautiful. It's a pipe. No, this is not a pipe. Yeah, the Magritte and surrealism. Why I love surrealism so much, because he's both very rooted. But Yaakov is now understanding Jacob blessing in the sense of that he needs to be heavenly centric while earth bound. It is not enough for me to meditate and feel that I have connected with my God until I do a mitzvah on earth. Meaning, if I have a great Torah study and I don't go visit someone in the hospital, it's really not been a full day. Not quite frankly. It's not enough for me to be like, oh, I thought about all the beautiful visions that we can have. Good for you. Where's dinner? And yes, and action and praxis is the grounding of this theology that starts in a dream. And this is so. Vayikatz Yaakov, and it's not just waking. Has anybody woke up with that clarity from dreams like that? I know. That's the journal. Because what happens is you forget, you don't have the journal, and you're like, oh, okay, snooze. Or pretty much I check my phone. That's why I put my phone in a closet away from... Okay, it's another story. Vayikatz Yaakov mishnotav. And notice, it's not that it's from his slumber, and he says, Vayomer. He says, he's alone. Achen. Truly, yes. Yesh. Adonai. There is God. Bamakom. This place. There is God in God's, I would translate it as, yes, there is God in space of God. What this is God's presence. Va'anochi, and I, do you remember I said this I, capital I? Va'anochi, little I, didn't know it. So let me translate it differently. I'm divine. I have everything that I need. And I didn't even know who I am. Or I am somebody. Anochi Hashem. And I'm not saying I am God. That would not be rooted in this very earthly bound thing. Velo yadati. And I just want to say, I did not know it. That's a very heady thing. Just remember back in August when we taught together, what is lada'at God? Adam knew Eve. What does that mean? To know someone biblically?
It's sexual, but it also...
Intimacy.
Is it
sexual
close? Right.
Union.
It's a knowing, it's an awareness.
Awareness. Absolutely.
The
That
interesting
God
thing
is within me. I wasn't even recognizing it.
It's interesting that Jacob doesn't wake up and say, oh my gosh, what a beautiful sunrise. Isn't this wonderful? Isn't the world great? I didn't realize God is here. We always look for God in the spectacular in nature, and he woke up from his dream and says God was here.
And to that point, Jacob is known as the prayer Ma'ariv, the evening prayer. He is related to this evening prayer. Yitzchak is the afternoon prayer, and Abraham and his Akedah was in the morning. And this is where we get the 3 times of prayer.
But he woke up in the morning, not at night.
Vayikatz Yaakov mishnotav. When does it say in the morning?
So you're saying he could have been sleeping too?
And in fact, look, verse 18. See, but wait. We have one more line. 17. Do you understand? Just read ahead, Bert. 18. Vayeshkem Yaakov. That means Vayikatz, when he was like up, you're still half dreaming.
This could have been in the middle of the night.
Okay,
He could have awakened in the middle of the night.
Well, no, he's definitely struck in this place. He's passing out. He's been running and running and No, it's clearly towards evening. But what I'm saying is, he rose early that morning, and this happened right before that. Therefore,
it was in the morning.
He was struck in the middle of the night.
In the beginning, on the very first, the second line of 11, it says, Iba Hashemet. And we're translating that the sun was setting, but the sun could have been coming. He was rising. So we're misinterpreting the whole sequence.
Well, but clearly Kiva Hashemesh, meaning that the sun comes away. He's in the wilderness, and it's so you can't hide. He's really on his own, so that's why they interpret it that way. But yes, you could also say, and the Kabbalists do, Kabbalat Shabbat, by the way, this they were afraid of night, and so this was very much before the sun rises. It's my favorite time of the morning, by the way, before the morning, but let's get back. Vayikatz, he jumped. Vayira. I love this. He was awestruck. Vayira. Vayira. Do you remember this? Vayera. Awe. Yes.
Awe, fear, radical amazement.
I love that too. This is the same word. Do you want to say something more about that? About the Hebrew Vayera? The Hebrew word for awe and this terror is the same. V'lo yira ra ki ata imadi, and I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So pachad is a lower a sense of afraid, like ooh. Terror and awe, if you can open yourself. And this is again back to this woman who just looked at me with such she was awed. I'm alive. I'm alive.
But in English, fear and awe are very, very different.
Yeah. You can't have awe in a closed space of fear.
And we're told the only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
Through that space. He was at the end of his rope. I mean, let's be honest. Yaakov did not trust the blessing. He did not trust his father. He did not trust his mom. Who's he supposed to trust? His brother? Okay. Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How awesome. And this is just, he's had an epiphany. And I don't think it's just this, how awesome this world is. This dwelling place is. Ein ze ki im. This is so hard. Not this, but if it is a house of God. I'm trying to read it literally. This is none other than the house of God already implies he's seeing this little rock of stones as the site. But I think that's, I don't want to say wrong, but I think it's much bigger. Ein ze. It's not this. Because if it is the house of God, this is actually my gateway to heaven. Now, what is this? And what is makom? What do you guys think? Do you think it's this pile of rocks? Do you think it's this particular Harana way? Yes.
Well, I feel like this is a striking portion. I think it's a trick. I think it wants us to ask the question of where is place? And I think the actual question is when is place? When in the sense of time, like the Greeks, kairos, chronos.
Yes.
Not in chronological time, but when am I ready to accept and then be imbued by whatever this thing is?
Okay, and now let's take the irony a step further. When was Yaakov ready?
Well, this blessing that he was given, the blessing was almost an engine. The engine threw him into motion out of his home, into the wilderness. And only at some point when he was able to, I don't know.
Ready? Was he able or ready? He wasn't ready. He was at the end of his rope.
But I think
that's the moment.
But I think that's really critical because it's the powerlessness that while I'm at the end of my rope, I can do nothing more, and suddenly it emerges.
We define ready in a different way. We think when we're ready, we're
prepared.
Got it all ready,
Correct.
Second it out, and it's like no, it's that. It's another realm.
When there's an emptiness, when it's empty.
I think that surrender, and rather than thinking of surrender as this, it's like, I surrender, show me, show me. You know, they say when a student is ready, the teacher appears. He was ready. He was surrender, show me.
Ein ze, it's not this, but it's the house of God. And what is this? That's the gateway to heaven. Meaning, it's not this place, it's the opportunity to stop and dream and be awed. And there is the gateway, Sha'ar Hashamayim Bav El. What is the further irony of this is the gateway of God? Where is he now? Harana? In Mesopotamia, in Babylonia, in Bab El. If you're historical about this, I don't have the time, but this is actually a play on the diaspora Jews being in Bavel, in this place, thinking, oh my God, we made it. What a golden Medina. Literally. Oh, sorry. Bad. I'm not going to go there either. But, hi. This is the gateway to heaven, and the whole point is, the gateway to heaven is wherever you truly create it.
It's the relationship.
Relationship. It's a beautiful moment. He has this beautiful moment, and now let's watch him take a step back. Because this happens in life, right? You've had a difficult challenge with a partner, and you fought, and then you have that great moment, and then you start bickering again. Just as another metaphor. I think so. I think Torah is just so beautifully describing the ironies of life. So now he gets up. Okay? Now he gets up. And it's like, okay, it's a new day. And so he takes the stone that was there from his head, Vayesem ota matzeva, and he makes it a marker. Vayitzok shemen el rosha, and he puts oil on it. Has anybody seen a dry rock and when you totally change it? This is a ritual. He has actually done what other Mesopotamian gods were, which is to make an altar and use oil. Okay, not human sacrifice, not animal sacrifice, but he's making this stone. And then what does he say? Vayikra et shema makom hahu Beit El, Bab El. And he calls it the house of God, Ve'ulam Luz. I love that. That's just an aside, a historical aside. Originally it was called Luz. So, but then Jacob, Vayidor Yaakov Neder. The rabbis do not like vows. God gives an unconditional situation. Oh, with 5 minutes left. It's just too deep. When we are given unconditional love, we immediately put it in conditions and we limit it. And that can be sad. But I want to say, in light of these fires, as I read this prayer, I just want to be open and say, yes, God wants conditions to our lives in order to express mitzvot. Ways that I can say, if I do this, then that means that I love you. Do I need to give my partner flowers on Friday? I don't have to. He or she may know that I love her. And yet, by giving flowers on Friday, we are setting conditions for how we create relationship. I'm just trying to show the two sides of this. More cynically, I say, oh, it was so beautiful. They had this love, and anywhere he was, he would be blessed. And he says, if God is with me and watches over me on this path and gives me bread and clothes, and I return safely to the Father's house, then God will be my God. And here's the stone I set up, and this is the house of God. I mean, that's cynical. And I've been there. If births, you give me 4 years and a stipend and a this, then I'll be your rabbi. Silly. Once you begin a relationship, you're in it. Now, of course you have conditions.
What about what you hear from the people who survive Auschwitz?
So, this is the flip. Which is, you know what? To survive is this is not too much to ask. Yes. Then, that was my cynical. I just want to give two sides of this. That's the fear-based. Well, if you do that and then that, we can do this. But the awe space is, yes. Vahaya Adonai, and behold, God, you're me, you're my God. Adonai, this personal God for me, will be this great universal God. This is just a marker. And this is why those little piles of stones, when I see that, I'm not like it's idolatry. Someone has taken the intentionality to pile a sack of stones and clearly prayed in that space. And is it too much to ask? I just want, my kids need chicken tonight. And yes, I make sandwiches in the morning. And if they have sandwiches and they have chicken and there's a little television in the middle, some homework, it's a good day.
Is the Hebrew as conditional as the English?
Yes.
The English is very conditional.
Yes. But you know that I'm really trying, and it's almost pretzel-like the way you have to reinterpret. But yes, because the ned there, the vow that he makes was unconditional. God didn't say, and if you vow at this moment, all of a sudden he says, and therefore. Okay. When God just said, wherever you go, it's going to be okay. Okay. If you go to college and you do a 401k, you'll have retirement. Not that I don't, these are very important things, but I want to end in this capacity. Thank God for our bread, and thank God for our homes, and thank God for our families. And it's not that God wouldn't be my God, but I am truly grateful for the support and the kindness of this universe. And wherever I go, I need to set that stack of stones to say, I know my blessed. I know Vayadati. There is divine in each of these spaces that we share, and that is a blessing that is humble and earth. That is very earthy. To just say, you know what? Food, home, shelter, that I can come return to my Father's house, that is a tremendous blessing. And it's certainly a blessing that I wish for the community in Malibu and for our families and friends and for all of us that feel a little far on this wandering way towards Bab El Wad.